The first lie was the flowers. They were already there when we arrived at the church. White lily. To many of them, my father hated lily. I assumed they were a mistake. A florist error. That happens during funerals. But then I noticed the card. We'll miss you forever. No name. Just that. I asked my mother if she knew who sent them. She didn't answer right away. That was the second lie. The funeral was quiet, respectful, heavy. My father was a simple man, worked construction, came home tired, never missed a birthday, never raised his voice. 40 years of marriage, that's what everyone kept saying. 40 years, the priest repeated. A lifetime of commitment. My mother nodded beside me. Her hand was shaking. After the service, as people lined up to offer condolences, I noticed a woman standing apart. She was younger than my mother, mid-30s, maybe. 2 children stood with her, a boy and a girl, both dressed nicely for a funeral they didn't belong to. The boy kept staring at my father's photo. Not curious, familiar. When it was their turn, the woman stepped forward. "I'm sorry for your loss," she said. Her voice broke on the last word. My mother froze. The woman leaned closer. "He was a good man," she whispered. "He loved his family." My mother looked at her then. Really looked, and her face went pale. That was the moment everything cracked. The reception hall buzzed with quiet conversation and clinking plates. I watched my mother sit alone at the table, untouched food in front of her. The woman and the 2 kids sat at the far end of the room. No one talked to them. Everyone noticed. No one asked. I walked over. "I'm sorry," I said to the woman. "Did you know my father?" She swallowed. "Yes," she said. I did. The girl, maybe 8, looked up at me. She had my father's eyes. Same shape, same softness. My stomach dropped. "I didn't plan to come," the woman continued. "But they wanted to say goodbye." She gestured to the children. "They?" I asked. "Our kids." The word hit me like a punch. I laughed. Actually laughed. "That's not funny," I said. "This is not the time." The woman didn't react. She reached into her purse and pulled out a photo. My father stood in the middle, arm around her shoulders, arm around the boy, smiling, alive. I felt the room tilt. "How long?" I asked. Her voice was barely audible. 10 years. 10 years. A decade of birthdays missed, Christmases split. 2 lives carefully balanced. I thought of all the overtime shifts. The business trips that didn't make sense. The nights he came home smelling like a different soap. My mother knew. I realized that before she said it. She knew. I found her outside, sitting on the steps, staring at nothing. "You knew," I said. She didn't deny it. "I found out when you were in college," she said quietly. I waited for more. She didn't offer it. "You stayed," I said. "I stayed," she replied. Her voice was flat, empty. "For you." I wanted to scream. At her, at him, at the version of my childhood that suddenly felt fake. "You let us bury him like a hero," I said. "You let everyone praise him." She finally looked at me. "He was still your father," she said. "He loved you." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing the children's faces, wondering what they knew, what they were told. The next day, the woman called me. "I didn't want to hurt anyone," she said. "He promised he'd tell you one day." I almost laughed again. "He ran out of time," I said. She was silent. We met a week later, coffee shop, neutral ground. She told me everything, how they met, how he said his marriage was complicated, how he showed up for school plays and soccer games. He was never cruel, just divided. "Did he love her?" I asked. She didn't hesitate. "Yes." That hurt more than I expected. "What about my mother?" I asked. She hesitated. "I think he loved you," she said. "I don't know about the rest." I didn't tell my mother about the meeting. I didn't know how. She was already disappearing into herself. eating less, speaking less, carrying a grief no one acknowledged. 2 months after the funeral, my mother collapsed. Stroke. Minor, the doctors said. But something changed. She forgot small things. Names, dates, memories, selective ones. One afternoon, she looked at me and asked, "Did your father like Lily?" I said no. She nodded. I didn't think so. At the hospital, a nurse handed me a bag. My mother's belongings. Inside was a folded envelope. My name on it. The letter was short. I stayed because leaving would have broken you. I stayed because loving him was easier than starting over. I stayed because sometimes surviving looks like surrender. Forgive me. I cried harder than I had at the funeral. Months passed. I met the children again. Not often, but enough. They deserved to know their brother. I deserved to know the truth. We don't use the word family easily anymore. It's heavier now, more complicated, but also more honest. My mother lives with me now. Some days she remembers everything. Some days she remembers nothing. But she smiles when the kids visit, like she always knew they'd be part of her life somehow. People still call my father a good man. I don't correct them. Good men can still break people, quietly. This is NIGHTLINE, and sometimes the truth doesn't come to set you free. It comes to teach you how to live with the damage.